Hi, I'm Justin Jensen, and welcome to my channel. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and may fall again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming. Teddy Roosevelt. Hello, how's my beautiful people? I feel like I haven't been here in like a week or something. I don't know, it feels weird. I haven't streamed for like 2 days, and just trying to get everything ready for Santa Claus coming down the chimney, right? How's everyone doing? Actually making it live coexist. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. So good to see everybody. I have missed you all tremendously. But I have sure been staying on top of things, and I have also been working on another I don't know. It's an older case from 2006. A a student that was killed by her classmates. Now this was high school and all of that, but still, it kind of makes you think of who could be around, right? Oh my goodness, worst prank caller ever. Thank you. Thank you for becoming a Justice for All member again, my love. And Southern Grammy. There we go. It's Christmas. It's Christmas. And another one for the worst prank caller. Thank you, guys. Subscribe to the worst prank caller. She is freaking hilarious. Freaking hilarious. She will do these prank calls, and it cracks me up. Oh my god. And it's like right off the cuff, really. It really is, and it's so funny. Makes me laugh tremendously. So, talking about Idaho, um listen, I have not stopped. Like, I was literally up till 6 a.m. this morning reading about killers. I'm like, God, if somebody, people in true crime, if they searched our search history, they would be like, I know my guardian angel's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Um, how's the weather here? The weather is -5 degrees right now, -5 below zero. Yeah. Yes, I sound better. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, my love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You can take that to the bank.
She, where's Print Color had to step away from her channel for a minute. I get it. -11 in -2. Wow. It's cold everywhere. It's cold everywhere. I don't know. Just cold. 15 in Mississippi. -26. Like I ran to TJ Maxx earlier and I had my big fur coat on and everything and I look like a Eskimo and the wind blew across my face and I couldn't breathe. I've never felt that before. Like it took my breath away. If it's 43 in Florida going down to 25, that's bad. 75 in California, windy. We are so jealous. We are so jealous of you right now. All right. So, going to go over an article real quick, but then we're going to really talk about we're going to talk about this killer and the behaviors that's going on with this killer and the risky behavior, the patterns, and all of that. There is an article that just came out just like literally just a few minutes ago, and I haven't even read it yet. So, that we could read it together. And it's about the taxi driver that my job was to get the girls home safe. Private taxi driver who drove Idaho roommates Kaylee and Madison home hours before they were murdered says he is haunted by his role in delivering them to their deaths. Essentially, he is the last person that ever seen the girls alive, happy, healthy, and not, scared, right? I'm sure that has to mess with your head. I'm really sure that has to mess with your head. So it says the driver who took two of the murdered University of Idaho students home on the night they were killed has broken his silence to tell how he is haunted by the knowledge that his job was to, quote, get them home safe, but instead he delivered them to their deaths. Wow. Speaking for the first time and exclusively to dailymail.com, the private taxi driver who was probably the last person to see Kaylee and Maddie alive says, quote, it weighed on me. I've replayed that night a million times over, trying to think of trying to think, where was that? If there was some sign or some detail that something was amiss, but there was nothing, he says. Quote, it's not lost on me that my job was getting these girls home safe, but it didn't really help this time. There's those occasions whenever you just want to like go through the TV screen and just, you know, rearrange time if you can. And I'm sure that he would definitely want to do that for sure. The four were slaughtered across the upper floors of the three-story home on King Street in Moscow, Idaho, while two other students slept in their rooms. The shocking killings marked the first homicides in Moscow in 7 years, with no leads shared nor subjects named. Many have questioned the town's police department investigators' abilities to handle a crime of such magnitude. Um, Today, the man who drove Kaylee and Madison home has has recounted his recollections of the night and claimed that the community is living in fear with little faith in the Moscow Police Department. Speaking on conditions of anonymity, how do you say that? Anonymity. No, I can't say it. I'll just say anonymously. I'll just say anonymously. Okay, there we go, Justin. That's my speech class for today. You're welcome. I had known Kaylee and Maddie uh, and Xana too. They were occasionally get rides home, and there was nothing out of the ordinary about that night. So, the girls were laughing at the food truck. They were being silly, everything. And you think that a I'm not going to try it again. I'm just going to look like a moron. I'll do it in my bathroom mirror or something. But they're laughing, they're carrying on, they're having fun, and that's it. You know. And the person, since I picked them up about 1:40, 1:45, said the driver, they had their food and they were super excited about the mac and cheese, as girls are after they go to the club. They sat in the back, they chatted, they were normal, just like any other night. They weren't upset about anything or talking about anyone. The driver said he was familiar with surveillance footage in which one of the girls appears to be talking about someone called Adam earlier that evening, but he said they didn't talk about him or any boy on the ride. Moscow police have contacted Adam, who they have described as cooperating with the investigation. According to the driver, quote, some of the girls would talk about boys, but that night they were just excited about their food. There was no apprehension, no weird feelings there, no upsetness. There was no nervousness about them. They weren't afraid of anybody. There was nobody following them or following us. There was absolutely nothing about that ride that was different or abnormal. They were just typical sorority girls talking away, and half of the time they don't pay a whole lot of attention of us drivers. They just kind of do their thing. There was Okay, sorry. The driver said he didn't pull right up to the door of the girl's house, stopped instead out in the front of the street. He said I sort of pulled up in front of the driveway. I didn't pull right into the parking lot. I usually try not to do that because that's an easy way to get robbed. I try to stay in positions where I can either go in either direction so I can get away if I have to. It's never happened, but you hear about the things. But on that night, he saw and felt no threat. In fact, he said, I didn't watch them go all the way in. There were two of them. It's a relatively safe place. It's not something I would usually sit and watch. Sometimes I absolutely will ask or intervene if I feel a kid needs help. I've taken kids to get their stomachs pumped if I feel they need if if I feel they have to. This is a college town. The kids are just trying to live their lives. We drivers trying to look out for them. They don't need to be preyed on. The fact that Kaylee Madison and their friends were so brutally murdered within a couple of hours of him making the drop off, the driver said, weighs on him. He says, I've been driving here for years and it weighed on me. It was rough to think I was the last person to see them alive. Well, one of the last people to see them alive, rather. When I saw the news on Monday, as it occurred to me, I was in the neighborhood, but that was before they released any names. As soon as I knew for sure it was the girls, I went to the police. Um, he said swiftly uh, swiftly eliminated from inquiries, having uh, provided officers with uh, a wealth of digital data and the time of receipt from the Taco Bell to which he went to drop the girls back home. In the weeks since the murders, he said the police have shared little information with the families of the victims and have grown increasingly impatient. Um, he said he took off about a week from driving and he just had to step back from it all. The kids deserve justice and they're not getting any. It feels to the community like the police aren't even trying, which is 100% related to how they aren't communicating with the community. People are scared. Most of us have little faith in the Moscow Police Department. We can't tell if we're watching qualified investigators who have handled the situation or if they're completely at a loss and grasping for straws. Uh, Moscow Police Department have pushed back at the suggestion of the inexperienced officers uh, that lead investigators who have only been a cop for 2 years are hampering or having already botched the investigation. No murder weapons were discovered, uh, but police are still looking for the occupants of the 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Um, and it just talks about the case, securing the what the police officer said and stuff like that. Um, we okay, same thing. So yeah, very very disheartening. Thinking that it seems like Kaylee and Maddie had absolutely not a care in the world. They were out, they were having a good time. This was the last time, Kaylee, and Maddie were going to really be together for quite a while as Kaylee was moving to Texas, kind of starting a new life, a new job, excited about her new Range Rover, and, excited about life and the future. And they were just living it up. They seemed to not have a care in the world, and that was that. And this taxi driver says, they weren't talking really about anything, just having fun, doing their thing. I'd like the police to tell us how many voluntary. That would be. I agree, Betty. I agree. I would like them to release the 911 call as well. That would be awesome because the 911 call happened after the murder. It doesn't really change anything, in my opinion, at least. So, and one more thing before we get kind of into a deeper dive about, um, I want to scratch each other's heads on this and get y'all's opinions. Oh, wrong one, wrong one. 1 second. It's so good to see everybody. I've so missed you guys. Um, now, also, look, Kaylee's Range Rover retrieved from the city lot. Look at all the snow. So, and an identified man retrieved Idaho murder victim Kaylee's Range Rover on Thursday afternoon from a Moscow city storage lot. And isn't that Kaylee's dad? Am I wrong? I mean, it kind of looks like him. I think so. Hey, Three Dot, good to see you, buddy. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. Um, but it just makes you feel like things are moving on. Um, they've gotten the furniture out of a lot of the not necessarily furniture. I mean, some furniture, I'm sure, but a lot of the personal belongings that the four had and the two surviving roommates, and their car was taken away, and now it feels like things are starting to move on, but we're not getting the answers that we are after. Thank you, Camille. Merry Christmas. Thank you, my love. Thank you so much for your support. I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it just makes me extraordinarily sad. And this is after they got all the snow off of it. She didn't even get to enjoy her Range Rover, guys. So wait, are they releasing the vehicles and not processing them? Good question. I don't know. I'm sure that they had already processed them. She had just bought a brand new vehicle. Her first vehicle, Kaylee's mother, Christy, told Fox News Lawrence Jones last month she went home Friday to literally go show off her new vehicle. She was like, Maddie has to see my new ride. Like, she has to see this. And she was talking to Maddie the whole time, going back and forth between the car she was buying. They were more like sisters. And she was a hard worker, always had a full-time job on top of her studies, even in high school, according to her obituary. Kaylee loved the nicer things in life and took a lot of pride in buying those things for herself. Good for her. Good for her. So, yeah, it's not really saying whether, I mean, I am certain that they have probably already, and if they haven't, we got bigger problems than what they're already talking about. Because if they haven't already processed those cars, to me, they should have processed them day one, really. But that's just my opinion. So now I want to talk to you guys, and I really want y'all's input on this. And we have to let's let all of the bias go from our minds. Let's clear our minds and let's think, not who we think is the suspect or this person or this person or that person. Let's think about this killer. And I'm going to talk to you about what different profilers have said about this killer, but some interesting things that I personally have observed and what other people has discussed. And the killer was in a very, very high risk area. We can't forget that. He was in a very high risk situation. There were 6 people in that house, increasing his risk to be caught in a highly populated neighborhood. All it took was for one person to hear something, call 911, run out of the house screaming, and it was over essentially. You're caught. How long did it take the police officers to get there the day that the 911 call came in, when the 2 survivors? It took like literally less than a minute. It took literally like less than a minute. And the killer had 6 people there. That goes to show you, in my opinion, that this person was willing to take that risk to kill one or more of these individuals. Whether, I'm sure that he was hoping he wouldn't get caught, but you do something like this and the risk is always there. And I want to see what you guys are saying about this. This is driving us all crazy. All of us crazy. It really is. Absolutely. Hold on one second. I need to turn up my heat. Okay. All right. So heat at 60 degrees here. Stick a fork in it. you know, it's like -5 degrees here. Oh, so you have to think about that. What person? Okay, that's terrible. He watched them come home. He could tell by how the lights were turned on or off which rooms they went into. Potentially, potentially. 28, goodness. I think he knew the house inside and out. I would agree. Yes, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up button. We need it. But that is a very high risk behavior. 6 people in the house, 1 killer, and we have to remember that the road, there is people at all hours of the night. It is literally apartment and house to house and people walking by all hours of the night. Very, very high risk behavior. The lights were on till at least 3 a.m. Now, was that when the killer struck? Is exactly when the lights came off. Now, a lot of the profilers believe that the reason this person waited till the lights came off, and we'll talk about it more in this topic that we're talking about, but essentially, if you are a serial killers want the light on. They want to see you eye to eye as you take your last breath. It's sickening, it's demonic, and it's ugh, right? But that is exactly what they want to see. Now, if it's someone that knows you, that has feelings for you, they want the lights off. And Also, even with just a regular standard, which I mean, murder's murder, but all murders are awful, but a standard murder, um, like a son killing a mother or a father, many times after they kill them, they will cover their heads because they don't want to see their face. And, and a lot of times these killers who have a feeling uh, of some sort, whether it's passion or whatever, toward these people that they essentially want to extinguish from the earth, they don't want to see their face even in death. Unlike a serial killer, they want to see you to see their face in death. He liked working in the dark, like a hunter with a knife, even if they knew him. Roommates or one of them are involved, in my opinion. Interesting. Three dot Dave, I will say hello to you next. That might night vision. So the murders. Hello, House of Williams, my love. Good to see you. The murders took place under not a full moon, but it was rather, brighter that night. Um, Now, another thing is, how would this killer, how was he to know that more people wouldn't be invited over to the house that night? This house had it pumping almost every weekend, many weekdays, even, I'm sure. This was known as the party house. If that killer was inside, let's say the killer was inside waiting, which is a very popular theory amongst people. A lot of people think the killer was laying in wait. If that killer was inside, not only was he taking a risk of, you know, 5, 6 people being in that house, but there could be more males that show up. Was the killer laying in wait for the occupants to arrive home, or did the killer wait outside watching from the back parking lot or down the street? Um, this is another thing we simply don't know. Um, the killer could have been laying in wait for many hours. It's possible. Um, this killer could have been, standing outside somewhere in the woods there. He could have been up in the parking lot. He could have been in a car, with binoculars or whatever. Um, we don't really know. But if he was already inside, he had to wait, quite a while. Regardless, in my opinion, um, yeah, the woods behind the house are perfect for hiding. Yes, yeah. But regardless of whether he was already in the house or he was outside, he had to know that even though there was so many cars home at that time, he had to know where the others, he had to know that the others weren't home. Nobody was home when he went in that house, if he went in prior to everyone coming home. Um, or, like I said, he could have sat in a car, he could have sit around back, He could have sit in that couch in the backyard for all we know. Who knows, you know? But this is something that, uh, he had to be patient with, for sure. So again, the killer knew the occupants of the home, they were gone. Now, why would some strange killer, like, if this was somebody that didn't know anything about this home. So if let's say, if I was going to break in someplace, uh, you're not going to break in a place that has a bunch of cars outside, because they're like, oh, they must be home, right? What if he made lots of noise and woke up the other two people up? Then he would have had to kill two more. That's correct. I'm sure law enforcement has already checked out all areas heading that people keep complaining about police. Um, hey, Rap, good to see you. I'm not complaining about, the FBI's there. I think they got it under control. Um, if one or both the roommates were involved, it would explain why there's no blood trail outside. That could be why they called the friends to discover the bodies the next morning. Interesting theories. Um, this doesn't seem like someone that was cool and waiting. This seems a lot more swift and rageful without a lot of forethought. See, actually, I disagree. I think this was very well planned. It may have been, he could have been a sloppy murderer as far as uh, overkill and stuff like that. But, I think if you just walk into a place and you kill four people, and you're going to leave trail marks behind you and everything else. So I really feel like he had to at least plan, um, how he was going to, exit, how he was going to enter, everything. I personally don't believe it's a serial killer. However, a lot of the profilers are saying that they don't believe this is a serial killer, but he has serial killer tendencies. So, I personally believe this was at least uh, pre planned to an extent. Now, another thing, it is very risky behavior, knowing spelled that wrong. Knowing that anyone could wake up, call police at any time if something went wrong, meaning if the killer woke the others up or if he made a noise. Anyone could have called 911 at any time of the home invasion. 6 phones in the home, very risky. Like a scream, which, a scream is another thing, because I'm sure that they heard screams and squalls and everything else, a lot of the neighbors all the time. This is a college town. You are in the heart of it. And I'm sure that there was a lot of screaming and partying and music and all of that. Wonder who lives in the house behind uh, their house where the car parked. I do know. not a serial killer, but if a young college student, how did he pull this off? That's exactly right. I think this killer is rather sophisticated. In fact, some people, even on, I think, News Nation last night, they were talking about, could this been like a professional hit? Is that what people are believing now? I don't think this was a professional hit by any stretch of the imagination, but we are living in the information age. If we want to, build a deck, we type in a few letters, press enter, and it shows us everything we need, right? That goes for true crime, everything like that. So, um, we know a lot in true crime about, you know, what murderers do and how people clean up and everything, right? So, even some of the profilers were saying this person may even be a, what they call a true crime fan. Um, but obviously he took it to a different level. I think so. That's exactly what I think, contrary. I think a professional killer would. It wouldn't be as messy, right? Um, I do feel it was premeditated for sure. Hello, Bowser. Good to see you, honey. Um, I think it was more to do with either one or more of the victims upset them or they were fixated with them. I believe, or a Dexter fan like me. You're funny, Cammy. Funny, funny. It is definitely a crime of passion. I do think that this is definitely a crime of rage, a crime of passion. I don't think that the killer was out to kill four people, in my opinion. I think he was definitely there for one, maybe two. But I do feel like this killer feels like he has been wronged or humiliated or has been made fun of, been made a mockery of, um, been played in some way, or feels like a fool of some sort. I know it's old, but I'd like to hear the Idaho State Police if there is DNA evidence from the 1969 Moscow Thunder Knife murder. I have no idea about that. Couldn't tell you. But I am going to be going back to 2006. I'm making a video about a 2006 student murder that happened in Idaho. Stay tuned for that. The killer knew people were walking around the streets at all hours of the night. It's supposed to be hours of the night, going from parties, going to different houses, drinking, just as we seen in the video footage that happened at 3 a.m. Well, you remember what the guys there drinking? They were doing, checks. They were having that frat party or whatever that night that was going on. And just as we saw those four guys that looked like they were kind of jogging in the area close to the house, and we also saw a truck and a car, and this is kind of like on a dead end street, more or less. And this was at 3 o'clock in the morning in the wintertime. Um, so another, this makes it even more risky. This killer who was had to leave the house if it was someone not in the house that did this. If it was someone that is not affiliated with living inside that home, this killer had to walk out of the house, and whether he parked close or whether he walked to ever wherever he lived, whether he lived close or far, he got in his car, he got a ride, he rode a bike, whatever. He had to have passed someone unless he lived extraordinarily close, right? That is a risky behavior. At 3 o'clock in the morning, there's there's the three guys out, right? There's two officers, right? There's the four other guys. There's the guy in the truck, and there is a like a white car sitting there that has nothing to do with this. So that's a lot of people just at 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, Hold on, I can check. Let me check something real quick. So, and another thing, this is a side note, guys. Oh, thank you so much, Sabrina. I'm so sorry. Merry Christmas, Justin, and everyone here. God bless you all. Thank you, Sabrina. God bless you, my love. I appreciate your support, and I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. I appreciate it. I never take it for granted. I really don't, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I know YouTube can get crazy sometimes, but I have a rock solid subscriber base, and it's because of each and every one of you, and I appreciate that. And I thank you to my mods and my Patreons, my members, and just everyone being here. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. So thank you again, Sabrina. So going back, there was a party going on, and there was people out everywhere, and this killer had to have passed someone. If he was driving at 3 a.m. in the morning, this killer passed someone. Whether it was in another lane, someone was in front of him, someone was behind him, at a stoplight, at a stop sign, someone had to see this killer if the white car is credible, right? Thank you, Plant Diva. You're very kind. Someone saw him. Exactly right. Exactly right, Stars. Someone saw him. And that is a very high risk behavior. Now, I would say if you saw someone running in the middle of the night looking like um, it was Halloween, and there was blood all around him and everything, you're probably going to, run for your life, first of all, or, and then, report that. You're definitely going to remember that, right? I think he was waiting and hiding. He climbed that tree and jumped the deck. This dude has skills. You think so? Interesting. But these are very risky behaviors. He wanted this taken care of, uh, whatever he felt like he was wronged inside of him so much that he was willing to accept these risky behaviors, to uh, either fulfill an urge inside of him, or to, um, you know, feel like he was wronged in some way. So it's very, very interesting. All right. This is why my opinion is that the killer must have known all the risk of all the people in the house, all the people on the street at all hours of the night, but he still wanted one or more in the house dead that night, no matter the cost. Easy, there were police dogs in the beginning. There absolutely was. I checked on that. Chili dogs, police dogs. So my opinion, Kaylee and or Maddie were the targets. I feel, in my opinion, that is not a fact. I want to be very clear on that. Um, that is just my opinion. You can have a totally separate opinion. Again, your opinion is not a fact either. But I'm just saying my opinion on this is that Kaylee and or Maddie were the targets. Kaylee was just about to leave Idaho for good. She was no longer living in the house, about to move hundreds of miles away. Uh, and in my opinion, the killer was going to do it that weekend because it was a now or a never type of deal, especially if the killer lived close by or fairly close within the region of Moscow or Idaho. And I don't think it was an accident, in my opinion, that it happened that day. When knife is used, 97% is by male. Yes, that is true. Yes, and most killers are male as well because of a little thing called testosterone. And that's another thing. Speaking of testosterone, um, there has been. I'm just going to say, I mean, because it literally is rumors of people, taking steroids and stuff, which it can cause some, aggression. It's possible. But in my opinion, it is it's not an accident that it happened. Maybe someone was jealous, that she was going off and she was, riding off into the sunset with their new Range Rover, to Texas, living her best life. Or maybe someone said, you know what? Um, if I can't have you, nobody can. Or, maybe someone had a secret love for her that was like, you know what? You're not leaving me. Or maybe one of the girls made someone feel special and, uh, it really wasn't that deep for them. And somebody feels like they're a fool, or an idiot that, they poured their heart and soul out to this person, and you know, they don't feel the same way. Okay, could someone have been so jealous that they thought they were being left behind? Or was someone made to feel more special than they actually were? There is allegedly, some of the girls may have worked for OnlyFans or something similar. That is alleged, and it is no shame if they did either way. You got to pay your bills, find a way, at least you're working. So, maybe someone gave a lot of money to, this website or something, and, they gave their entire life fortune away or whatever, right? And one of them's often moving or whatever. If one person was targeted, why kill four? Because they you don't want someone to know who you are or hear who you are or anything else like that. So or was someone made to feel special? Could there have been some sort of affair, some sort of jealousy? In my opinion, this is a rageful person. Sometimes it's controlled. They can control their rage pretty good, in the public eye at least. But I feel like if you make them feel anything less than, they snap. So, did one of these people, were they so jealous of a friendship or someone potentially maybe being unfaithful? Were they jealous of Kaylee's recent hard work and good fortune? Some things, that is not big to you and I is extraordinarily big to another person. I mean, think people are killed for, in our opinion, a lot of things because of just ridiculousness, silliness, sometimes. But in that person's frame of thought, their psyche at that time, they don't feel that way. It is a big thing to them. So this is different profilers. I've been listening to different profilers, and the profilers are saying that this is what they consider an odd person that lives a restricted life, somewhat mechanical, is what the profiler said. Somewhat mechanical. I mean, lives a very, you know, probably eats the same thing, does the same thing, uh, same habits. They have to live within uh, what their comfort zone is constantly. Uh, and this person can hold a grudge for a really long time. Um, it is amazing. There are people that can hold grudges for something that, again, may not be anything, not a big deal to you or me, but for them, it may hurt them tremendously. Um, Something that we find silly or not that deep, really, in our eyes, but to them, It can humiliate them. They can hold a grudge for years, decades, or even a lifetime. Um, Now, for me, like I'm a person, I don't really hold grudges. As quick as I get mad, um, I get over it. Like I really try not to go to bed angry ever because I don't know if I'm going to wake up and I don't know if I'll ever, if the other person's going to wake up. You never know how life's going to happen. So don't hold a grudge. Remember that. Work on it. If you hold grudges, work on it. It does more to your heart than it does uh, to them. It's very heavy carrying that weight all the time. So don't hold a grudge. Um, and you can tell I type this out really quick. Probably stalked. Uh, this person has probably directly or indirectly uh, stalked a person. I mean, you know, sometimes people are stalking, but they're doing it in a as a friend. You know what I mean? They're just, that it can be a friend who actually you don't know, but maybe they really deeply care for you and wants to take it to another level. You would never expect that from them, but maybe in their heart they feel that way. Um, and they're always around you asking to see if they can help you or whatever. Now, and I don't and as far as Jack, the food truck guy, he has supposedly not a person of interest at this time, but I'm just saying someone like Jack, in my opinion, he was around the girls, just him and the girls walking and at the food truck and all of that. Um, that could be someone who was always trying, to help or, give aid to, a friend or whatever. But that can also be if that person is always texting you, calling you, trying to be around you like 24/7, can't breathe, kind of thing. That can be a stalking method as well. This person is very ego driven. Um, Obviously, ego is everything. Ego, acronym, edging God out, EGO. Don't let your ego edge God out. Humble yourselves. Um, it's Our ego will cause a lot of damage in our lives, and we're all human, and we don't need some big ego. Um, and the profiler, we kind of talked about this earlier, that he thinks that it is important that he did this crime in the dark, because this is probably a crime of passion. This is probably somebody that at least one of them knows in the house, if not more of them, or may not know them extremely well, but can be an acquaintance, or what the victim thinks of as an acquaintance. So this person doesn't know if he's anything or everything. And the profiler, I think he meant by, um, if while they were killing uh, someone, if they kind of felt like less than if you know the lights were on or whatever, but when the lights are off they feel almost like a god, and that makes them feel powerful and in control. This is a control um, situation in many cases, that these killers want to feel, this is the reason they do it, is a control of some sort. And the profiler also said this is a communication process from the killer to the victim, and that every single uh, stab that they did to each of these victims was a sort of communication that um, they, that the killer did. So doesn't the and this one second. Okay, pardon me. Um, and that this does not feel random to them. That this does feel very personal. I think most people feel like this is a very, very personal situation. A very, it has to be very personal. If it wasn't personal, um, there is plenty more places uh, that a killer could go to that doesn't have as many risk factors as this house did. It was a weird made house, um, multiple rooms, multiple layouts, very close to a lot of other houses, kind of on a dead end road, if you will. So this was very, very targeted. Um, and at least one of the victims, the profiler believes, which I believe probably most people have come to the same consensus, that uh, at least one person has been pre-selected uh, in what in the deaths. They chose at least one of the killer thinks that they've been wronged or something by one of the people in the house. He knew the victims lived in the home to increase his likelihood of a victory, because he knew that they would be drunk and asleep. He wanted to increase his victory, and he never, he wanted to sneak in while these. I believe that he thought they were all women inside the house that night. I think he was very surprised when he saw Ethan there, but he wanted to increase his likelihood of, uh, killing and what he considers a victory of this, because these young, you know, young ladies was drunk and or asleep. The profiler also believes that that this person is not interested in bragging about the murder to anyone. That he does believe that um, this person, the killer, will not speak about this to anybody. This is his secret life and his alone. Um, People may think he's weird, may think he's awkward, may think he's the life of the party, but he's not going to um, overly talk about the killings going on in the town if he is a local type. Um, and they also believe that it is important to take the inventory of the house to keep the memory alive, the fantasy, always keeping the memory alive. Um, if it was up to someone like, a serial killer, if they could kill every day, they would love that, but obviously they can't. So they keep this fantasy in their mind, they relive it, and they will bring home a momentum, uh, a something that they can remember this killing or this person by, until they can do it again. Not the inner circle, but maybe knows them. Very possible. Very possible. Lulu. Very possible. There's something's definitely up. And I thought this was interesting as well. One of the profilers said that he may be a knife collector. Um, so, is he collecting knives? I don't know, but it's very interesting that he could be a knife collector. Um, may not be, but this was just something that he thought that it's possible. The killer's entire identity is likely rooted into one thing. I thought this was very, very interesting. Um, and a lot of times when someone kills, they murder anything, it is because their entire life has been into a job, into school, into a person, taking care of someone for 30 years, being married to someone for 40, 30 years or whatever, being obsessed with someone or whatever for a long time. And then it all unravels, it becomes unrooted, it can trigger them to commit these murders. So if someone, especially probably a younger person, who has had something happen into their life, in the you know fairly recent time frame here, um, and something unraveled, it could be something, uh, that may need to be a little bit further looked into. I thought that was very interesting as well. So, um, I can't say too much about the surviving roommates hearing, not hearing anything. Um, it's kind of like once you've used to hearing things, you're Scott it off as nothing. Yeah. Yeah, um, I am praying that they catch. Please, Lord. Um, you skipped my mag. What's mag? Message? Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I had my mouth running. I apologize. Everybody ready for Christmas? Who's ready for Christmas? It is so freaking cold here, guys. It's like crazy. I think the two roommates may have connections to the lonely, broken-hearted killer that lashes out in revenge and anger, furious over Hannah. Just my profile. A lot of people are talking about the roommates, but I don't know at this point. I mean, I get both sides of the situation. Someone come help me rap. No, Camille, I've got to go rap right now too. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. I swear to God. That's what I got to do. Yes, and that is true, the uprising. If you have been stabbed in the throat, um, the lungs, really, the lungs, you can still scream a little bit, but as long as you got a little bit of air. Um, but particularly the throat, the jugular, you're going to lose energy extraordinarily quick. Um, and you're not going to be able to scream. You're not going to be ready to scream. Jamie K, you better get on it. You better get on it. And you better get on it. No, I gotta go rap right now. So, guys, I will be back live tomorrow, Christmas Eve. We'll hang out a little bit and talk. If anything pops off between now and then, I'll be here. I had to take a couple days off to get things together, but I am back now. I am working on some videos that are not lives, um, and we are going to be pumping it out for the new year. Do I think the skin dog had anything to do with the murders? I think that skin dog is either um, a serial killer, probably in the making, or is related. You don't skin a dog and keep the skin around its head and the skin around its feet and skin it like a deer for a sport. That's not right. That is not right. Okay, babe, you can come help Camille and I rap then. Am I a rapper? Not really. Not really. Can't deal with it. Guys, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Um, I may go live a little bit later tonight while I wrap gifts. I don't know. We'll have to see. On my other channel, we'll just have to see. So, um, it's a very disturbing case. It's a very, very disturbing case, and I can't sleep. I can't sleep. This case is driving me nuts, and it's driving a lot of people nuts. It really is. So, all right, my loves. Good night. God bless and Merry, Merry Christmas. I will see you tomorrow. Hit the thumbs up for me. Please. I need it. I really do. Love you all. Bye bye.